What would you do if your own mother stood up at Thanksgiving, smiled at the room, and called you a beggar? Because that's exactly what happened to me. The house was full. Too full. Plates stacked. Glasses clinking. Everyone talking over each other like nothing could possibly go wrong. Thanksgiving always had that fake warmth to it. The kind that looks good in photos, but cracks the moment someone says the wrong thing. My mom, Carolyn, stood up to make a toast. She loved these moments. Loved an audience. Loved reminding everyone who mattered in this family. She started with my sister Victoria. Famous lawyer. Impressive firm. Perfect life. Everyone nodded along. Then she turned to me. Her smile sharpened. I have 2 daughters, she said. One is a famous lawyer. Pause. The other is a beggar. The table erupted. Laughter. Gasps. Someone actually clapped. And just like that, I stopped being a daughter and became a punchline. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't explain. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked out. They thought that was the end of me. They had no idea it was the beginning of their problem. Why do the cruelest moments always arrive disguised as celebration? I replay that dinner in my head more than I'd like to admit. The way my mom stood there, wine glass raised, soaking in the attention. The way everyone leaned in, already smiling, already ready to applaud. She loved control, my mother. Loved knowing the room would follow her lead. She started sweet, thanking everyone for coming, talking about gratitude, family, blessings. Then she said my sister's name, Victoria. Her voice changed instantly, louder, proud. She listed Victoria's accomplishments like bullet points on a resume. Famous lawyer. High-profile cases. Headlines. Applause followed every sentence. People nodded like they were watching a TED Talk. Then came the pause. The dangerous kind. My mom turned toward me, tilted her head, and smiled like she was about to tell a joke. I have 2 daughters, she said. One is a famous lawyer. More laughter. And the other, she continued, is a beggar. For half a second, the room didn't react. Then it exploded. Laughter. Gasps. Someone said no way. Someone else said brutal. A cousin pulled out their phone. I caught my aunt smirking like this was entertainment she didn't want to miss. I felt every eye land on me at once. Waiting for a reaction. Waiting for a breakdown. Instead, I felt something snap cleanly inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. I pushed my chair back. Stood up. Put on my coat. And walked out without saying a single word. Behind me, they laughed harder. They thought I was leaving because I had nothing. They were wrong. Ever wonder how people decide your worth without ever asking you who you are? My family didn't misunderstand me by accident. They needed me to fit a role. Every family has one. The success story. The disappointment. The comparison point that makes everyone else feel better about their choices. That was me. I kept my life quiet. I didn't talk about work. I didn't post achievements. I didn't explain why I traveled suddenly, or why I always had multiple phones, or why I never linked my finances to anyone, not even my parents. To me, privacy was peace. To them, it was proof. If you don't brag, you must have nothing. If you don't ask for help, you must be struggling. If you don't explain yourself, you must be failing. My mom leaned into that assumption hard. She loved the contrast. Victoria's loud success made her feel validated. My silence made her feel superior. And every holiday, she reminded me, subtly, then not so subtly, where she thought I ranked. Here's the irony. The less they paid attention to me, the more freedom I had. No one questioned my schedule. No one tracked my moves. No one noticed what I was quietly setting up behind the scenes. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around, everything was already in place. They just didn't know it yet. And within days, their confidence would turn into panic. What happens when the people who laughed at you wake up to a world that suddenly doesn't work anymore? It didn't happen all at once. That's the part no one expects. Collapse never announces itself. It arrives quietly. In pieces. In panic. Monday morning, 6:03 a.m. My mom tried to pay for groceries. Her card declined. She laughed it off at first. Glitch, she thought. Tried again. Same result. By the time she called the bank, her voice had already started to shake. By 8:06 a.m., my dad was yelling. Not at the phone. At the room. At the universe. At anyone who would listen. Accounts were frozen. Transfers blocked. No explanations yet. Just that word no one wants to hear. Flagged. At 10:30 a.m., their lawyer stopped answering. That's when fear replaced arrogance. I heard all of this secondhand. Calls bouncing between relatives. Group chats lighting up. Everyone suddenly very concerned. The same people who laughed at Thanksgiving now whispering my name like it might summon answers. By 11:30 a.m., my mom left a voicemail. Her voice sounded smaller. Older. No jokes. No confidence. Please, she said. We were wrong. Where are you? I listened once. Didn't respond. Because the truth was, this wasn't chaos to me. It was confirmation. And at 11:32 a.m., I finally decided to reply. Have you ever held all the power in a moment and realized how quiet it feels? I didn't reply right away. That part was intentional. When people panic, they reveal everything. Their priorities. Their fears. Their blind spots. I let my mom's voicemail sit there while more messages poured in. Missed calls. Texts that started demanding and slowly turned desperate. By the time I finally responded, the tone had completely changed. No more superiority. No more jokes. No more pretending they understood me. I typed 3 words. Who are you? That was it. No explanation. No emotion. Just a mirror held up to everything she'd done. Because the truth was, the woman begging on my voicemail didn't recognize me at all. She never had. Within minutes, my phone rang again. I didn't answer. I already knew what she'd say. That they were confused. That there had been a mistake. That they needed help. My help. What none of them were ready to hear was this. I wasn't reacting. I wasn't improvising. I was simply letting consequences finish what arrogance had started. For years, they'd assumed I was irrelevant. Invisible. Dependent. Now they were realizing something far worse. I wasn't powerless. I was pivotal. And the moment they fully understood why, everything between us was about to change permanently. Why does respect only arrive once people are afraid of losing you? I didn't rush back. I didn't explain myself. I didn't soften the truth to make it easier for them to swallow. Because this wasn't about punishment. It was about reality finally catching up. They had spent years deciding who I was without asking me. Building a version of me that made them comfortable. A version they could mock. Control. Dismiss. And the moment that version stopped existing, everything they relied on started to crumble. That's the part people don't talk about. Power doesn't announce itself. It sits quietly while others underestimate it. And when it finally moves, it doesn't need to raise its voice. My mom called me a beggar at Thanksgiving because it made her feel untouchable. 1 week later, she was begging because she realized she wasn't. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel cruel. I felt clear. Clear about who deserved access to me. Clear about who didn't. Clear about the cost of silence and the strength inside it. So let me ask you something. Who still sees you as the version of yourself that no longer exists? And what would happen if you stopped correcting them? Because sometimes the most powerful response isn't proving them wrong. It's letting them discover the truth when you no longer need them to understand it.